Hello and a warm welcome to Federal's special program, Capital Beat. Prime Minister Narendra Modi yesterday on the occasion of Christmas attended his first, that is the maiden service, reaching out to Christians ahead of next year's Kerala elections and serial Hindutva attacks on the Yuletide celebrations in several parts of the country. Now, what did he write on the X? He was seen visiting the cathedral where he met the priest. He put out a message, and I'm going to read that out. Attended the Christmas morning service at the Cathedral Church of the Redemption in Delhi. The service reflected the timeless message of love, peace, and compassion. May the spirit of Christmas inspire harmony and goodwill in our society. And this is what he posted on the X, attaching the photographs from the event at the colonial era church in Delhi. But on the other hand, what has been playing out on the streets? For example, in Jabalpur, we saw 2 attacks on the Christian prayer meetings on December 20th and 22nd. Then we saw various visuals from across the country where statues of the Santa and the Christmas tree, they were vandalized. And there is no question, and there are no answers as to why this is happening. Always what happens is that these elements are dismissed as fringed, and nobody takes the ownership or the responsibility. So the question here we are asking is, the Prime Minister on one hand reaches out to the Christians ahead of the Kerala elections, but at the same time he keeps mum on attacks like these. What does it mean and how do we decode it? Joining me this evening is Sujata Paul, who is the Congress spokesperson. Thank you so much for joining. We have Vivek Deshpande, senior journalist and political commentator. Thank you so much for joining. Siddharth Sharma, independent media analyst, also joins us. Thank you so much, Siddharth, for joining. And I'll begin with Sujata. Sujata, Prime Minister remaining mum on attacks on statues of Santa Claus, Christmas trees, how the Christmas gatherings have been vandalized. And on the other hand, he reaches out to the Christians on the occasion of Christmas. Isn't it dichotomous? And what does this dichotomy mean?
Good evening, Neelu, to my co-panelists and to your viewers. The fact of the matter is that as far as the Prime Minister is concerned, for him, everything revolves around power and his elections to power. So if he visited a church, it hardly means anything, because when he has let loose all these vandals and hooligans out on the streets who are intimidating people, scaring them off, clearly it is not sending out a message of love. The message of love, peace, which comes along with the season of Christmas, has really been marred in our country, which is really sad, because we have always been a tolerant nation. What kind of message are we sending across the world? And in the Telegraph, there has been talks about Hindu extremism. I really take strict objection to it. It could be Hindutva extremism, but it is. And what you're doing is you're trying to scare off people, trying to polarize people only for the sake of elections. And today, all of us, we understand what the repercussions could be, but we are also surprised at what the Prime Minister is doing and not stopping this. He could have easily prevented it. And it's not just the Prime Minister, it is the Home Minister who is solely and wholly responsible for law and order in this nation. And if people are being targeted, this is careful and specific targeting, well thought out. And this is the agenda of the RSS and BJP. If you read the bunch of thoughts, you read about Golwalkar, he has been very clear when he has said that there are 3 enemies of the nation, according to him: the leftists, the Muslims, and the Christians. So after the Muslims, it is the Christians who are being targeted, and it might mar the happiness that this season brings to us, the propriety of the festive season, the brotherhood, the message of brotherhood and love that goes out to people at this time, and hitting out at the symbol of Santa. Just imagine, they're telling people not to wear caps of Santa caps at this point of time. So it clearly means that they stand against peace, against love, and all they want is disharmony in the country, which I think all of us need to get together and speak up against. and the Christian nations that he likes to befriend are also going to ask questions of him, and this is not going to be a very good sign. When America asks us questions, Telegraph comes from the UK, and that has published this particular story. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a huge article, and the way we have been told, and as in our country, has been told that we are not showing any kind of tolerance towards the Christian community. It clearly shows that the country needs to think about what we are doing. Law and order really needs to get into action.
Right. In fact, you were mentioning about Telegraph UK, but several other international newspapers and websites have published the attack on Christmas. Sarvesh, I'll come to you. What does Prime Minister's outreach on Xmas mean when there are a plethora of attacks like this? It's not only Telegraph, it's Independent, TRT World, Al Jazeera, several other international websites have published this story. Now, is this not a big insult? And what would the Christian nations feel about India?
See, he's just being hypocritic like always. This is just for the election vote bank politics, what he's doing. It is the same party of which a fraction called Bajrang Dal, which has not been banned yet. I'm actually shocked why. Because in year 1999, if all of you remember that incident, Bajrang Dal activist killed an Australian missionary, John Staines, I guess, if I recall the name correctly. Staines and his two sons. One was 10 years old, one was 6 years old, I guess. So he got convicted in 2003. Dara Singh was his name. So he was from the same fraction, Bajrang Dal again. And this goes on in the country on every Christmas I see last 5 or 6 years now. This government is doing nothing. This government is actually sponsoring them. This BJP party is all about division politics, divisive politics only, and they are against. See, whenever these attacks, I am not shocked by the way BJP is handling this. This appeal is for the people of India who is watching this. Any attack on our traditions, our culture, or our faith is attack on the Constitution of India, on our belief, on the guarantee what we give to the people. And it is not about any religion in particular. It is about the country in general. It is about our constitution, our faith, and it is attack on every individual of this country, every belief he or she has. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi is doing what he's known for, and he's best at doing that. It is a complete drama, what he does, what he did yesterday, and what he'll be doing if you don't talk about it. And this is the country which is watching, and we'll see this in the upcoming elections, whether it is in Kerala, UP, or any state.
I'll come to Siddharth now. Siddharth, of course, Prime Minister Modi went to the church. Now, people might say that, okay, that was an occasion which required him to go to the church. He made an outreach. But do you see the Kerala elections, the point which is very clear, and because of which he felt that it was mandatory for him to go, because he has to make the right political noise addressing the Christian population in Kerala?
No, I think more than Kerala, it is the pressure of the international community that was working yesterday on the Prime Minister. BJP seems to be stuck between a rock and a very hard place. It has two compulsions. As government of India, BJP has to give a message of pluralism to the world. But as a party, it has to give a message to its lumpen elements of majoritarianism. So it is essentially riding two boats going into V-shaped currents. So exactly why it is falling between those two stools. Hypocrisy has its high costs too. Everyone knows that hypocrisy it comes very costly. On one hand, Santas are vandalized in India, and on the other hand, world is reacting by burning Hindus at stake in Bangladesh, or Trump is sending back Hindus in chains and restraints. Proof is that after Pahalgam, not a single country out of 200 echoed India's statement or India's sentiments of blaming any of the Pakistani terrorists. Nobody named Pakistan. Nobody even uttered the word P. So essentially what has happened is that I'm really concerned now about the 3.5, nearly 4 crore Indian diaspora living in 200 countries outside across the world. Everyone, including my family, your friends, everyone knows somebody who is living outside India. So if this kind of thing starts happening as a reactionary approach, that is what is going to happen. Earlier, we did not used to see these kind of things happen against Indians in New Zealand. That has started happening in New Zealand, in Canada and America. Indians who start to have a little bit of Grah Pravesh and do a small puja during Grah Pravesh, neighbors come in and complain about nuisance. So I think it's high time that BJP decides whether it is government of India or a party, because if it is a government of India, then it has to give a different message to the world. If it is a party, it has to give a different message to its lumpen elements. Sadly, BJP has to understand that all the 200 countries in the world have an embassy in Delhi. Every evening from their embassy, whether these kinds of things get reported in international media or not, obviously they are getting reported. That obviously is bringing bad name. But add to that the fact that every embassy from the world is every night they send a wire, they send a report to their respective capitals about the happenstances of that country. So what is going to be the report coming out? What report did those countries send yesterday to their capitals? We have to understand. Christmas is especially Christmas, because of the Santa Claus factor, because Santa Claus is a very kind of a humorous and lovable character. Christmas, more than a celebration of Jesus Christ's birth, which obviously the Christians would do across the world, many people, many civilizations celebrate Christmas as a festive season, as a very happy season. Everyone, even people who are not Christians, start to greet each other saying that Merry Christmas. There are cakes to be found. It's a very joyous occasion. So Christmas is, data shows that Christmas is celebrated by the most number of human beings across the world as a festival. So on that festival day, if these kind of lumpen elements were let free in India, obviously this is not coming out this is not going to end right now here. We have to understand. Yesterday Mr. Trump had a whatever vision in his mind and decided to bomb some ISIS targets in Nigeria. He has already bombed Iran. So these kind of things start happening. And in fact, yeah, I think there is a United States government report. It's called a USCIRF. It puts India under a nation where it feels that it is an area of concern as far as religious freedom is concerned. All these things put together are not bringing any good name to India across the world. More than bringing or not bringing good name, I'm more worried about the Indian diaspora living in 200 countries. They would be put under needless pressure because they don't have anything to do with India. They live outside, but they are going to come under pressure because as a reactionary measure, this is what is going to happen. People in New Zealand will start putting a lot of pressure on Indian diaspora. People in United States and Canada already are under pressure. We know that Trump is sending people, Indians, especially Hindus, in chains and restraints back to India. So I think BJP has to understand that it is skating on very thin ice here. It's an extremely thin ice. I don't think they'll be able to skate through this thin ice.
But I want to come to Vivek now and understand the binary. And it looks like a deliberate binary which plays out in the BJP script. And it always happens. It's not only about Christians, but it happens with the Muslims as well. It happens with other minorities as well. Like on one hand, Prime Minister makes this kind of an outreach, and on the other hand, you have these lumpen elements. Now, is this part of a general design which is followed year after year, and it's the same pattern which we see with BJP?
Yeah, Nilu, definitely. I mean, it's part of the larger game plan of the RSS, the Sangha Parivar. They have this three-dimensional approach to the whole scheme of things that they have rolled out ever since they have got absolute majority in 2014. And these three dimensions are deception, deceit, and diversion. What they do is, the deception is that they show to the world that they are very magnanimous, like Narendra Modi going to the church. But actually, they end up doing deceit. And the deceit is that when Mr. Narendra Modi goes to church or tries to, shows that he's reaching out to the minorities, then on the same day, on the other hand, his foot soldiers, I mean, the foot soldiers of the Sangh Parivar to which Narendra Modi belongs, they carry out such attacks on the members of the minority, as we have seen on the Christmas day. So, and after that, when this issue boils over, then they divert the attention of the people with something else. So they suddenly change tack and raise some other issue. So, deception, deceit, and diversion. These are the three dimensions of the modus operandi of the Sangh Parivar. And with this, this is their roadmap to their cherished so-called Hindu Rashtra, where, as Sujata has rightly pointed out, Golwarkar wants all three eliminated: the Muslims, Christians, and the communists, which of course is not going to happen. But then that is the India of their dreams, and for that they do all this. And what Mr. Narendra Modi is doing, actually, there is a saying in English: running with the hare and hunting with the hound. So he is trying to show to the world, but the world knows what kind of he carries history with him. The history as Chief Minister of Gujarat, where he was actually accused of telling the police not to react, security forces not to react to the Hindus and let the Hindus bend their ire against what happened in Godhra. Mr. Narendra Modi's image is one of a very supportive government when it comes to the Hindutva thugs. What happened in Gujarat, we are seeing the repeat of that, the Gujarat model across the country now. Of course, the scale is, it's not such a full-scale thing. They are doing it intermittently, but very regularly, so that minorities are always kept on tenterhooks. They always remain afraid of the majority community. That is the scheme of things. That is the game that they're playing out. And the RSS, on the other hand, always will maintain a very magnanimous face, saying that everybody who believes in Indian culture is a Hindu, whether he's practicing Christianity, whether he's practicing Islam, we consider all of them as Hindus. This is just this is one of the facets of the the thuggery that RSS does. What they do is they will show themselves as very magnanimous, and they have let loose these foot soldiers called the Bajrang Dal and the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, and now many people of the common public have also joined them. So it pays, because this kind of vandalism is actually very ingrained in the very scheme of things in the Sangh Parivar. So they will, on one hand, they will say that they are very accommodative, and on the other, they will let loose these thugs on the streets. That is what is happening in this country, and what repercussions it will have, we all know. Siddharth has just elaborately said about that. The Indian community, the Hindu community, which is living across the world in different countries, will get the backlash of this sooner or later. It's going to happen, and it's already started happening at many places. And as the Hindutva thugs go on intensifying their drive in India, I think the Hindu community across the world will certainly feel will be under pressure. And when that happens, then I think these people will realize the folly of what they are doing. But whether they will realize at all or not, that is something for us to see, because I don't think they will be repentant of what they are doing, because this is something which they have been thinking of doing for many decades now. And now that they are completely in command of power, they will not stop doing it, I think. And I don't know where this is heading us, as long as the BJP is in power, as long as the Sangh Parivar is in power. But it's a very, very dangerous situation for the country. It's complete anarchy that is being rolled out. Yes, Nilu.
Right. But Sujata, do you think that this kind of an act, maybe a one-day act where Prime Minister reaches out to the Christians on the occasion of Christmas, does it really help win BJP any kind of support in a state like Kerala, which is predominantly a Christian populated state?
No, as far as Kerala is concerned, the RSS has been active in Kerala for many, many years now. And they might try to show that they are present over there and people are supporting them. That's just a facade. And whatever votes they might get would be from those people who have been supporting them in their shakhas across the state, which they have been running for years. And if you remember, some time back, RSS had a huge program which they conducted there. So having said that, if we talk about the Prime Minister, he just pretends sometimes. And the fact is that this has been their plan for a very long time, but they could never implement it because that plan was left to the RSS, according to Golwalkar. But things didn't go according to the way the RSS wanted, and from Jansangh they came to BJP. And even when they became the BJP, they didn't start with this initially. If you actually look at their politics, it is only around the time when they took out the Rath Yatra, and Advani ji started from Gujarat and went across the country. And you know what happened after that. So this is something that they realized at that point of time, that if you try to create bad blood amongst people, it will work. But the governments at that time would not have allowed it, because obviously these people were just taking baby steps at that time. And clearly, as they became stronger, it was for all of us to see that then Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, in fact, he was not really the Prime Minister at that time, when he gave a speech and publicly said about Palestine, that everybody says that if we come to power, we will support Israel and we will not stand with Palestinians. But that is not true. And look at where we've come from. So this whole gang of people has only been a gang of wolves, and they have only lied through their hat, whether it was Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji at that time or what is happening now. I would not say that he cannot be blamed. A lot of people will say, no, he was different from the present generation of politicians from the BJP. But I just feel that they did not have the kind of power that they have managed to get now. And in pursuit of power, they realized that the hatred amongst people, if that could be brought out, and it would create a lot of bad blood, and that could benefit them. And that is exactly what they have been doing ever since they have come to power. And it's going from bad to worse. Again, there is one more reason, because the Prime Minister, he has always behaved in a very vindictive manner. Even when you look at those people who questioned him in Gujarat, many of them are languishing in jails. We have seen that across states, when anybody has questioned him, said things that he has not liked, and he has found a way to put them in jail. He thinks that he can scare all of us. But that doesn't happen across the country, because this is too large and vast a country. And that vindictiveness has been clearly there. And now what has happened is he's also angry. Has anybody analyzed it psychologically? When he said that 400 par and I will now become, I am non-biological, I believe that I'm non-biological, he had forgotten his mother's contribution in his politics also, because she did play an important role every time, and this is India, we do have sentiments and emotions. But the way he has been behaving since last year, he's going all out to get power in whatever manner he can, even if it means destroying the social fabric of the country. And that is why when Operation Sindoor began, there were questions being raised as to why America was questioning us. And today, look where we are. Look at the sanctions imposed on us. Look at the way Americans have stood with Pakistan, and how we have been told that, well, you all wanted trade, and that is why I allowed you to have peace. This is what Donald Trump has said. So clearly, the Prime Minister knows that he is on his way out, and to keep power to himself. It's not about the BJP, it's about him and Mr. Adani. To keep power, concentrated on himself and stay Prime Minister, he is going to go all out to indulge in this hate politics, which we are seeing today. And I think the only way we can fight it is continue talking about it and making them accountable, because somewhere along the way, they will have to step back when a lot of people ask them questions.
I'll take the concluding comments now from Sarvesh and Vivek. Sarvesh, I'll come to you first. So, what would you say to this binary which is played out? And it's just not about Christianity; it's about other minority religions as well. So, what would you say towards the end, very briefly, and then I'll go to Vivek. Yes.
It is very dismaying that we are becoming sadistic in our way. That this government never cared about the foreign policy. We are zero on foreign policy. They every day I get to hear that we are set to become Vishwa Guru. So are we going to become Vishwa Guru or Vishwa Hindu Guru? So are we going to rule this world only comprised of Hindus? So this is the basic fact that the country needs to know now. The youth needs to know that we don't need to support these hooligans in the streets, and we cannot divide our country. We cannot set aside this belief of inclusiveness from the minds of the people, minds of the youth or the future generation. So we cannot fall in the trap of these thugs, as Vivek sir said clearly, that we cannot fall. So you should be very clear about this, and this is not going to help them in Kerala. This is not going to help them in any state now here on.
Yeah. Okay. So Vivek, concluding comments from you, and then I'll close the program. Yes.
We have to understand this in the as I previously said, we have to understand this in the light of what the RSS, how the RSS thinks, and what is the RSS scheme of things. The RSS chief often on Vijayadashmi, there is one recurrent theme in his speeches on Vijayadashmi, where he says that the government has certain responsibilities to carry out, and the government does carry out those responsibilities, but the government cannot do everything, and there are many things which the society needs to do. Samaj ko karna hoga. Those are the words, but then he doesn't go and elaborate it further and say what is that the Samaj needs to do, the society needs to do, and what is that the society should not do. I mean, there is no clear definition of what he wants, what he means when he says that Samaj ko karna hoga. So we have to just read between the lines. We have to understand, and this what we have seen on the Christmas day or many other days throughout the year when these Hindutva thugs actually do this kind of ransacking and violence on the streets of India, then we have to understand that is when Mr. Bhagwat, the RSS chief's words actually resonate. They explain these incidents, explain what he exactly means when he says the Samaj ko karna hoga. So these are the people, the Bajrang Dal, the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, and all those people who work with a sense of delegated responsibility. They have been given this responsibility. You carry out these kind of attacks, and on the other hand, I will say all the goody things, so that it's a hydra-headed monster, so to speak. So we have to deal with them as one whole. I mean, the RSS is inseparable from these thugs because it is a creation of the RSS. So as long as you don't deal with the whole Sangh Parivar as a whole, including the Prime Minister himself and his government, I think we will be missing the woods for the trees. So the nation has to decide once and for all how to deal with these people, because you cannot be taken in by their promise of making India Vishwa Guru. That is not going to happen. And with these kind of incidents, this India becoming Vishwa Guru will just be a daydream. Nilu.
All right. So we'll have to end it here. Thank you so much, Sujata Paul, Sarvesh, Vivek. Thank you so much for joining.